Hi, I'm Kat,
And I'm Ellie.
and this is Virtual Ventures, the podcast where we talk about what running a BA business actually looks like behind the scenes.
Today we're talking about finding your first client, what actually works versus what people think works, especially in those early stages. This is a question that we hear quite a lot, isn't it, Kat? Because at the start, when you haven't found your first client yet, it can feel really daunting. It can feel really big. It can feel like, how am I ever going to land this or make this happen? But not only that, it's lovely to hear people's kind of origin stories too, of where they found their first client.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's one of my favorite things. Like just hear you
Yeah.
get you don't feel as alone. Like you said, it can be so daunting and you learn so much from other people's experiences. So sharing those stories, I think, is applicable, especially for people starting out new when we talk specifically about finding your first client. But even when you talk about finding your first client, you're talking about finding a client in general. So it can be really helpful for anyone really at any stage about, if they're trying to reassess what maybe is not working for them as much anymore. Maybe they need to go back to the drawing board. What did they originally do that was working and, maybe has since stopped working or they forgot about it and moved on to other tactics. Or sometimes you find clients or, VAs who, might be at capacity with clients for so long. And
Yeah.
suddenly they lose the clients and they're back to square one going, oh my God, how do I market
What
myself?
did I used to
Yeah.
do? How did I attract these clients in? Like what? Yeah, I don't remember what I used to do. I've not had to put myself out there in a long time. I've not been on social. So yeah, it's a great conversation to have even as a reminder for people who might just need to be reminded of the things we might need to do to attract those clients. So tell me, okay, go back to the first client.
Mm.
What was your experience finding yours?
It's funny. So my very first client actually, so I started out, I kind of launched my VA business and I was so petrified. I was so scared
Mhm.
that I got so caught up in trying to learn everything and create content. But I got so excited with that was almost enough for me for a while. The thought that I'm actually getting it right was like, I don't need a client. I'm so busy here just doing this stuff inside my business and
Yeah.
doing things and all that sort of stuff. But there comes a stage where you just have to go, okay, this is not a business if you don't actually get a client.
Yeah.
Um, so my first client came from something we always talk about as well is from my own circle. So it came through a friend and it was just a small little project, just a quick kind of design a logo project. Very basic, especially at my skill level at that stage. But that was my first client and my first invoice, right? So it was just a one-off. So officially that was my first client, but what I would class as my very first client that was like retainer style client came through my husband. It's someone my husband knew through his
Oh,
work. Yeah. So it was so my husband at the time was working with the newspapers and they were advertising with this firm and he got to know this person through back and forth and everything. And that person just happened to say there was a need for something. My husband thought of me, put us in contact. And to this day, that was almost 10 years ago now. And to this day, I still work with that client. And in fact,
wow.
did a business together in all those years as well. So I don't work with them at the same capacity and doing the same things. So it's very different, but we still are in each other's lives professionally as well. And we have a great relationship. And that was my very first client. So, and it came again through someone that obviously my husband. So when I
In your circle, I hope.
amazing. Do you know what that did for me though? It got me past that first obstacle.
Yeah, a
Very
hurdle. Yeah.
Exactly, that very, very first one of, oh my God, because I remember when I did go out first and started, just posting a few posts on social media. And obviously at that time, Facebook was probably bigger than anything. Um, and I started putting it out there. But I remember over the course of the months before I got my first kind of client, any call I got that was a number I didn't recognize, I was so petrified that it was a client inquiring. And I almost froze out of fear of, what do I say? What do I say? So there was so
How do
much
I handle this?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I totally understand that with people. And I think all of us experience it maybe at different levels, but it was something that was really a block for me at a point. And it was really only until I was in that position where I was almost put forward by somebody else and I had to go into it. It gave me that accountability to have to go forward then. And then just landing that first client gave me that little boost in confidence. Was not by no means walking around going, I'm great and I'm this and I can do it now and I can take on any client. Absolutely not. But it did give me that confidence to kind of go, okay, I'm doing it. I'm here. I'm showing up and I'm doing the thing. And okay, this is actually real. And then before long, it was literally a matter of weeks after that when my second client came on board, another retainer client who found me through my website. So I'd set up a website. I was optimizing for SEO, and they found me through the website. And from there, it just started to snowball, really. And I think, like you said, it's just when I took the pressure off myself, and almost had someone else, like I said, put me forward, and I had to follow through with it. It got me past that first hurdle, and then the ones that followed got so much easier, you know? Yeah, so it's really so how about you? What was your experience like?
Mine's actually quite similar to yours, I have to say. That's so interesting to hear it. Like, I had a bit of paid work first before I got
Yeah.
proper clients, same as you, you know? Like, when I was starting my business, it was daunting, you know, same as you. It was so scary. I didn't really know anybody self-employed. Nobody in my close circle was self-employed. So even when I would mention it to people, they'd be a bit like, "Oh, that's a bit risky. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know if you should really do that." Now, they were coming from the best place. They weren't, trying to discourage me. They were trying to, look out for me. But there was somebody that I went to primary school with that we were in the same kind of group as teenagers who had started his own business from my hometown. And so he was a little bit of an inspiration for me, I will admit. I was like, well, he did it. And, he's got his own business and he's got employees. So, maybe I could do this. So when I first launched, I mentioned it on my personal like Facebook and stuff. I've started a business and here it is. And I think we always find this, don't we? Other self-employed people are like your biggest cheerleaders. Like
Yeah.
they just are. They're always like, "Oh my god, well done. Like it's so great to hear it." And so he did that, right? And he came to me and he was like, I actually have something you could help me with in my business. I was like, oh my God, no way. Like I'm doing my first, I remember it so well. It was only like 2 hours work. Honestly, it was like so small, but I remember feeling so excited, feeling so cool. I was like, I
Yeah.
am deadly. Like, look at me here, accessing this stuff remotely, for this other business.
Totally.
And doing this work, I actually remember now thinking about it. I haven't thought about this in such a long time. I remember taking a picture and sending it to my family WhatsApp and be like, my first billable work. Like, I'm so
Wow.
excited.
So lovely.
Like it was unreal. Now I did those couple of hours for him and he gave me a testimonial without me asking. Again, self-employed people get it. And also gave me a review on my Facebook page. And it was so good that like I think that gave me a little confidence
Yeah.
boost.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like I've got a bit of a start
Yeah.
here, which was amazing. But then my first client, like real client, that I actually still work with today as well, came from a Facebook group. So the back that time, this was during the pandemic. So I mean, I feel like Facebook groups were like really hopping back then.
Huge. Absolutely. It's amazing the difference in the few years. Yeah, absolutely. They were
It's
huge.
mad. Now, I mean, they're still there
Yeah.
and they're still valuable. Like even the society hub that we have at the SVAI is great. But back then there was all sorts of random ones like
Yeah.
popping up out of nowhere. And sure, I was in loads of them because you know yourself, you're trying to get, make this thing work. So I did what I usually do. I posted in this group, and this was a global one. I think it wasn't Irish. It was like female entrepreneurs global. I'm making that up, but it was something along those lines. Um, and I did what I usually do and put an introduction post in. I'm Ellie, Ireland, VA, whatever it was. And it was actually about 3 weeks later, somebody else in the group commented on my introduction post and said, oh, I saw someone in a different group I'm in looking for a VA in Ireland. And I was like, oh, okay. And this group, like I had to apply to join it and everything and get in. And I saw the post they were talking about and I contacted the business owner and we met and we did a month trial. And now 6 years later, we still work together. And I've become so involved in all different areas of
Yeah.
his business. Even now, I'm delving into a new area of it, which is really exciting. So yeah, those are my 2 from my circle as well, I guess,
Yeah.
was the first bit, and then the second bit was actually from putting myself out there in a Facebook group.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? And like
Yeah.
it comes to that fear that we kind of mentioned as well, and that imposter syndrome feeling and stuff. Like, how do you feel that I mean, I don't think we ever really get past it. I think it comes in different stages, and as our business evolves and we try new things or, have new ideas, I think it creeps in again all the time. So I don't think we ever lose that imposter syndrome, no matter how established we are as a business or anything like that. But how do you feel that you kind of managed to get yourself past that to kind of, continue on and get more clients and stuff? Do you feel like that first client had a lot to do with that, or was there anything else that you did?
Probably did have a good bit to do with that because he's amazing.
Mm,
He's brilliant.
yeah,
But I think sometimes as well, it's down to sheer drive, isn't it? It's
yeah,
kind of like, if I don't do this,
yeah,
then I might have to go back to my old job or I might have to do whatever. Like, I need to put everything I have into this to make it work, you know? I think a lot of it was that for me, was that sheer drive. Like I kind of just had to put aside how I felt, you know, like even when I was posting on socials and putting videos out there, it was like, no, because you need to make this work, Ellie. And that's
yeah.
just the end of it. You're going to have to put yourself out there to make it work. So I think that's what it was for me. And I probably had to catch up with myself afterwards. And I was like, oh my God, how did I do all of that stuff? What about you?
Yeah, for me, similar actually in that sense as well. Like, I think I always come back to that quote of, she believed she did, sorry, she believed she could, so she did. But I always think it's more apt to, for me anyway,
Yeah.
personally, it's she believed she couldn't, but she tried it anyway. You know,
They just went to do it. Exactly.
I feel the fear and do it anyway type of attitude. It's like
Yes.
I'm petrified of this and I'm thinking, oh my God, you're going to fall flat in your face here. But sure, look, give it a go. It's always that whole thing as well of, I'll only regret the things that I never tried. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Rather than actually trying them. So, and then again, as well, it comes with the mindset that you come into things with. And I feel like I think I have a a positive mindset. And I think a lot of the people in my circle, including yourself, have that
Mhm.
kind of mindset as well. Where even when we fail, insert quotation marks there,
Yeah.
we fail forward and we kind of take a learning. So it's not a
Yeah.
feeling, it's that learning instead. And I think we look at that as an opportunity is different as well. So a lot of it, I think, comes down to the mindset work you do. And for me, where that stems from then is who you surround yourself with. So for me, the what you mentioned there about starting to get involved with, Facebook groups or
Yeah.
networks or if you don't have, which neither of us I think had at the start, we didn't really have
No.
anyone in our circle who was maybe entrepreneurial or that had started a business. Everyone was generally in their kind of 9 to 5 jobs when we were starting out anyway.
Absolutely.
So it's very different kind of mindsets than there. And again, you have that kind of your family and friends around you who only want the best for you and are only out of love for you and protection of you are kind of going, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to take
Yeah, it doesn't help with the confidence.
that feeds the imposter syndrome, that feeds all
Yes.
those kind of, those fears and limiting beliefs that you do have. So I think it's important to not forget about them. They're a big part of your life. They need to support your life.
Maybe separate the things.
So
Just
maybe
separate them a little.
for me personally, it was a part of it. I was still chatting about it and everything, but what I found instead was immersing myself in the groups that were doing the thing that I wanted to do,
Yeah.
that were already there or in the same boat as me, were trying to get there. And immersing myself in those industries, and it made me feel about reading books about mindset and motivation and from thought leaders and things like that, just really, really immersing and embedding myself in that kind of industry speak and culture and everything was really, really important. And I
Mhm.
think that helped, not completely change my mindset. That only happens over time and through practice and experience and all of that. And you can't rush that. But for me, that really helped to keep my head above water, let's say, with
Yeah,
with all
yeah.
those things.
Totally agree with you. I think immersing yourself in that world is just like one of the most important things that you can do, like truly. And the people, who have done this as well, but
Well,
people who are doing it, because then you know it is possible. Like
yeah,
there are people out there doing this. But if we go back to then what people think works when it comes to finding your first client versus what actually works, I think it's really interesting to look at both of our stories and see that, firstly, we both found first bits of work or first clients through our own personal circles
yeah,
of people.
yeah,
So, like, actually, people we knew in real life, personal lives, not business, not social media, nothing like that.
yeah.
And then the second one for me was a Facebook group, which again is a bit different. It's not exactly, just posting to Instagram and having the inquiries come in.
Yeah. That's it, and I think people get caught up in that a lot. We hear that a lot in our groups when we do our
Thank
roundtable
you.
talks monthly, with SVAI. We hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm not really showing up on social media," and they're feeling guilty about it, and then they're like, "I don't really enjoy it, and it's really hard." And we keep having to remind them that, look, yeah, social media is a great tool, It's not the only tool out there. And
Yes.
so, you have to find what you feel comfortable with as well. And if you can do all the things, amazing. That's great. There's so many tools out there that you can do from, your social media, your paid campaigns, your, like you said, Facebook groups, social listening, networking, talking to people in your own circle, literally advertising, direct mail. We could go on and on. Like there's so many different things.
So many things you can do. Yes.
So, and it's up to you to we can't do it all, like, in most cases, like, there's very few of us anyway that could do all of those things. So, it's just picking what you can do or how much of each can you do or whatever. So
Yeah.
and whatever you feel comfortable with. So, there's many people in our group, I think, that feel really, really comfortable with networking, not so much social media.
Yeah.
Then we have some people who really, really don't feel comfortable with networking, but they might
Love socials.
yeah, they might have a faceless, page or something like that, or they might do SEO, for instance, and try and get people who are intentionally searching on, Google or whatever, for virtual assistants. They might get someone that way. They might go on job boards like we have on SVAI. So there's loads of different ways. But I think, yeah, so I think for me the biggest thing is people get stuck on, I'm not doing this and I should be. And then that feeds that limiting belief that they have and the imposter syndrome and the guilt of, "Oh, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing enough." And, that feeds. And so that's just counterproductive in a sense. But it's to kind of find, I suppose, what works for you. And yeah, and if that's social media, great. If that's networking, great. But I think the most powerful thing that is sometimes really underutilized is that word of mouth. So it's not just networking where you're going out, but it's the
Yeah.
existing people that you do have, whether that is your first client. Your first client could get you another client probably quite easily, and if you do a really good job for them, like that whole experience, your client experience or your CX or whatever you want to call it, like that's marketing. That's you promoting yourselves and what you can do because that person then will go out and say, "Oh my god, my VA is amazing. Oh my god, every business should have an Ellie, or whatever." So, I mean, that's advertising you just can't buy in a campaign, like, you know what I mean? It's impossible because you're ticking off the know, like, and trust thing there straight away when someone else is recommending you.
I was just gonna say that. People work with those who they know, like, and trust, right? And then if someone else recommends you, that is building trust pretty fast because usually it's someone they already know
Yeah,
who is
yeah,
recommending you. And that's so powerful for you, for you and your business. And it can take a while to build that trust, especially on things like social media. It can take a little while to
yep,
build that trust
yep.
if we're, showing up with are fabulously branded posts that are important and they, do help out there, but it can be hard to build that trust factor up and take longer to do so than it might if you were sitting right across from somebody talking to them and getting the vibe off of them. So I think it's kind of more of a holistic approach. We don't want to be doing just one thing.
No, absolutely. But it's picking again what feels aligned to you, what you feel comfortable with doing, what you enjoy spending your time doing. I mean, yeah, so for me, I think it's just looking at what works for you, and what's the most effective piece of marketing that we found.
I think you have to challenge yourself though too. Like, what you were saying there about like socials, okay?
Mm,
I think most of us don't like it, okay, to be fair, a lot of us don't. I know for me personally, I actually quit social media back in 2017 or 18. I deleted my Facebook, I deleted everything. I had no socials anymore.
mm,
I just couldn't handle it. I just didn't want it. I was like, why am I keeping up with these people that I knew once upon a time when I was 14? Like, I don't want to know all this stuff, right? But then when I went to start my business, I was like, "Oh, you're
yeah,
gonna need to join the social platforms again, Ellie, like, you're just gonna have to." And I did, even though it's not something I enjoy, or enjoyed at the time. I would have never shown up on video, but I made myself because I remember doing the Start Your Own Business course, with the local enterprise office, and the person who was doing socials for my one mentioned video content, and this was before Reels or anything like that, so it hadn't, like, properly kicked
yeah,
off yet, but she was talking about how, video content will really help you stand out. It will help build that trust faster because they're actually seeing you talking, all the rest.
yeah,
And I had to force myself to do that. Like I was not confident, very introverted, but that challenge and making myself do it because I wanted the business to work so bad, challenging myself actually helped me get used to it. So
yeah.
I do think, and now I don't mind at all. I'm like really happy to show up on video. I mean, I might feel a bit rusty sometimes if it's been
Yep.
a while, or it might take a few takes, like, that's okay, but I think you do need to challenge yourself to
Yeah.
try things, you know? Don't write it off immediately. Oh, well, I don't like social, so I'm not going to try it.
Oh, 100%.
Challenge yourself to try it,
Yeah. Oh, I'd
you know?
completely agree with that approach. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't know for sure unless you try it, and I think we do. There's a stage where you have to kinda throw spaghetti at the wall. But like that, if you do try
Yeah.
it and you just feel like, "Look, I still really don't I can't get used to this," that's fine. Find what's aligned for you. But absolutely, I'd 100% agree with you on, give everything a go. But, it is worth your while, and like you said, you never know. Actually, you could find something that you're gifted at or, "Wow, actually, this is way more enjoyable than I thought," and,
Yeah,
you
I
know
actually love this.
yeah,
This is great.
right. Yeah, YouTube channel and you have all this other stuff going on. So
Yeah.
you never know. I think everything definitely is worth a try. And to see what works, it's very much a case of A/B testing in a sense as well. Do you know what I mean? Just testing what does work, where you're getting more of the leads from, and then you can hone in that. So definitely there is a stage where you have to just try it all. You might have to pick what you're trying within a certain period so that, you're not trying
Yeah, like,
everything at once.
this next
But,
week, I'm gonna focus on this, and
uh,
this next 2 weeks, I'll focus on that. Yeah, yeah, instead of trying to do it all at the one time.
exactly.
One thing I do think is important for us to mention before we wrap up, though, is something that we've seen quite a bit of, over the last few years is virtual assistants offering free work to get their first client.
This is really
I guess we just felt that as part of this conversation, it was just worth touching upon.
absolutely, no, you're dead right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, from our point of view, I can totally understand where people are coming from, and I've seen people teach this
Very
as a method and strategy to find those
yes.
clients. Personally, I just don't, and I think we both stand in the same place, and we've shared this with our community as well, that we don't feel that that is the best foot to put forward by asking. There are ways and means. So what you see a lot is people saying, offer free work or several hours or or sorry, a free
Yeah.
project or whatever it is. Get your testimonials. You'll build up experience. You'll build your confidence. Blah 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 blah. Now, if that's with the view of you're doing it for an NGO, right? You're doing
Mhm.
it for a charity organization or something, great. That's brilliant. You can tick that box of, this is my volunteer, time that I'm
Yeah.
doing and giving and stuff. And you can come at that a lot differently as well. You're coming in there with that, I'm a skilled professional. I'm offering you this, this charity is really looking
Yeah.
to have your professional skills. There's a very different relationship there in that sort of an instance, right? But if you are going in purely saying to someone, I'll give you this if you give me a testimonial, there's it starts for me anyway, personally, I think it starts a relationship off on a bad foot, and it's kind of hard to recover from that in a sense. One, your time is valuable and you should be paid for it. Even if it's something like a trial period, um, you can set something like that up. All right, that's slightly different. Um, but for me personally, I think it sets the relationship off on a really bad footing that's hard to, like I said, recover from. Because you'll generally get the clients who don't value the skill, they just value the cheapness of it, I suppose, or you know what I mean? And so for me, that is not really getting you the testimonial or the type of testimonial that you want anyway, and the type of experience that you want.
Yeah. Me and you, Kat, actually tend to have like kind of varying opinions on things
Yeah.
and varying experiences on things, which is something we both love about, our relationship as founders together for the SVAIs, that we tend to come from things from different perspectives. But this is somewhere where we actually completely 100% agree and have, like, the exact same view on it. I totally agree with you. I feel like I can understand why people do it. I can understand people saying, "Okay, I'm starting out. I just wanna get my footing. If I, offer some free work, I will get to do that bit of work for free. Someone will grab it off me because with both hands,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's a great offer, and then I will get the testimonial out of it that I can use in marketing," right? I understand that and why it does make sense, right? But again, I wouldn't agree with it either, and the reason is it does start the relationship off on the wrong foot.
Mhm.
Firstly, actually, you're gonna attract penny pinchers, like people who are not the type of person you actually want to work with in the first place, who don't actually value what you do if they're not willing to pay for it. And no matter who you are, and how much experience you have, whether you're a newbie or not, you do deserve to be paid for your time and your skills.
Yeah.
And there are many people coming into this industry who are bringing experience from other places. Just because they're a newbie as a virtual assistant doesn't mean they're a newbie with their skills, and so you deserve to be paid for that.
Mhm.
But also, it does start the relationship off on the wrong foot, and it doesn't tend to attract the best people.
No, that's the biggest thing. It doesn't attract the best people at all for sure. Like, I mean, again, I mean, I know there's businesses out there that are really good people, but money's tight and all the rest of it, and they could be a great client, whatever. But generally it's like I said, it's just that idea that it's really hard to recover from, and that, you're
Yeah.
offering this for free, then you're showing yourself to be willing to discount, rates. So in future, if you try and negotiate this person as an actual client, if you want to try and get this client as a client, they're going to be kind of probably the most demanding of clients from experience. They personally tend to be the most demanding for the least amount of return as
Why
well.
is it always that way? It's
All the time.
absolutely always that way.
Also, if
Always.
the type of client is recommending you to people, they're recommending you on the basis of, "Oh, do you know what? She'll probably do a discount for you," or,
You'll do loads for you for very little.
yeah. So again, this is all coming from experience. This isn't just, this is
We're
all
not making this up.
not actually seen in practice.
Yeah.
Um, and the other argument that we see, so like, yeah, so that argument about, oh, well, that client will just, help us get other clients. But again, like I said, if that client is referring you or you're depending on them for referrals, they're going to be referring you to the wrong type of people again, most
Yeah.
likely. So also another thing that we see, like with regards this idea of offering your services for free, it helps you to gain experience. It helps you to perfect
Yeah.
skills in a way. But what we always say to people as well is, why don't you use those skills on yourself? If it's digital marketing, if it's social media management, if it's design, whatever it is, create, like, if it's technical, if it's, your systems that you're setting up in the background, do all of that work for yourself. So, do you know what? One thing actually, and it came up today at a members roundtable as well, is that, you're trying all the things, nothing seems to be working, this tumbleweed, and you're getting really
Mhm.
deflated about everything that's going on. The one thing to do, or to make sure you don't do, really, should I say, is to suffer that in silence, and to just be sitting there
Yeah.
going, "Oh, nothing's working. I'm getting really frustrated. Maybe I should pack this in." Blah blah blah. Have a conversation with somebody, right? And that's the beauty of things like SVAI, communities like that, and being a part of, and what we spoke about earlier, immersing yourself and finding your tribe in a sense that you can talk these things out with. Because, chances are, your sister, your best friend, or whatever, unless they're in the entrepreneurial world, they're not really going to understand it. They're not going to be really of much help to you. So speak to people who are living it, who have lived it, who are in it as well, and see if they see something else. So it came up at our members roundtable as well there, just that we just had, and it was this idea of speak it out as well, and don't just be sitting there and in isolation going, oh well, this isn't working, and I might as well just give up. Have the conversation first, because you never know what gaps someone else will find that you can't see because you're in the thick of it. And that they'll be able to go, oh, well, maybe if you tried this, or actually if you targeted this group, or, oh, I see here you're actually, outsourcing or outreaching, sorry, to these people. Is that really the right group? Wouldn't they already have this piece sorted? Should you not be looking at this? Whatever it is, they might find something that you don't see because you're too close to it.
Yeah, no, so, so valuable, seriously. I mean, no matter what, yeah, talk to somebody. Talk to
Mhm.
somebody who's got who's in it too, because I guarantee you, you're not the only VA or online service provider who's ever felt this way.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's to that.
Absolutely not. Well, thank you for joining us for our first ever episode of Virtual Ventures. That is it from us today. I'm sure you've picked up throughout the episode that we are the founders of the Society of Virtual Assistants Ireland. And just to say, we're having conversations like this in there every single day, Kat, aren't we?
Absolutely. Every day.
Every single day. So if you want more of this kind of support, you will find it there. But thank you so much for being here, and we'll chat to you in the next episode.